Hello, and welcome back to the channel. See here in the free agency period after the 22-23 season, and we unfortunately again did not win the Stanley Cup. So we're gonna kind of just quickly go through the 22-23 season, regular season and playoffs, and kind of the signings and free agency and draft and all that good stuff. So let's start out with the regular season. As you can see here, we finished with a 47, 28, and 7 record, which was good for 101 points and second in the Central behind the Avalanche once again. In terms of kind of the goals for and goals against per game numbers, we are 6th in goals for per game with 3.27, and 3rd in goals against per game with 2.73. So a good season in that regard. There was a leading scorer. As you can see here, it was Robert Thomas, centering the first line with 26 goals, 65 assists for 91 points. And in terms of our buddy and player of focus here, Scott Perunovich, he had 5 goals, 15 assists for 20 points. And a third pairing role, it's pretty solid, I'd say, plus 9 as well. It's him and Scandella were our third pair, did a pretty good job, I'd say. Each tripping in 20 points and having a plus minus. It's pretty good. That's the regular season. In terms of the President's Trophy, it was the Vegas Golden Knights, who had 109 points in the regular season. Be the best team in the league there. In terms of the playoffs, the playoff tree, the best way to do it here, as you can see, kind of looking at the center there, we did end up making more progress than we did last season. Made it to the Cup final this time, but we got absolutely smashed by the Washington Capitals. But how did we get there? As you can see, we matched up against the Dallas Stars, finished 3rd in the Central with 94 points in the first round. Simulated all those games and swept them with 6-3, 4-0, 4-2, and 3-2 wins. Round 2 was then against the Calgary Flames, the team we lost to in the conference finals last year. So I played games 1 and 2 because those were at home and simulated the rest. So game 1, I won 5-3. Game 2, I won 4-3. The last minute goal from Tarasenko, I'm pretty sure, on a power play. Game 3, we won 4-2. Then we closed out the series with a 5-3 win, or another sweep. We then got matched up against their Calgary's big rivals, Battle Alberta, Edmonton Oilers. In the conference finals, simulated all those games. We won game 1, 2-1. Edmonton evened up the series at the 3-2 win in game 2. We then steamrolled through with 4-1, 3-2, and 3-0 wins to march on to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Washington Capitals. We had basically the 2018 and 2019 Cup winners coming at each other again to try to win their second Cups in franchise history, and we got absolutely smashed. Like game 1, we lost 8. Again, these are all simulated. Game 1, we lost 8-2. Game 2, we lost 2-1, so that was a close one. Game 3, we won 4-3 in overtime. Game 4, we lost 3-1, and then in Game 5, Capitals smashed us 5-2, take the cup in 5. So a bit unfortunate in that regard, but again, we did make progress, which is, I guess, a good sign. In that sense, we didn't regress too badly. But in terms of kind of playoff scoring, the leading scorer was once again Robert Thomas. He had 9 goals, 13 assists for 22 points. And Scott Perunovich, there he is, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. Not bad, but him and Skinner were both minuses, so not as good in terms of defensive side of the game in the playoffs, but kind of time and experience should hopefully kind of improve that. At least you would think so. In terms of kind of the awards and whatnot, as I said, Stanley Cup Capitals, President's Trophy, Clarence S. Campbell Bowl went to us, and then Prince of Wales Trophy. There's individual awards. Sidney Crosby, once again, kind of adding to his enormous trophy cabinet by leading the league in scoring at 99 points. We picked up the Art Ross and the Hart. Norris went to Cale Makar this time. Lady Bing went to Matt Barzell, who finished with 89 points in the regular season. Calder went to Marco Rossi of the Minnesota Wild. Conn Smythe went to Vitek Vanacek. So clearly the Capitals were kind of very reliant on goaltending in the playoffs. As you can see, we only scored more than 3 goals in a game once, which was the game we won. We were held to 2 goals or less in all the other games, so it kind of tracks there, I'd say. So Vitek Vanacek doing a good job in net for Capitals in the playoffs. Vezina went to Sergei Bobrovsky with the Panthers. Jengs went to Markstrom with the Flames. Masterson went to Edmonton again. Jack Adams went to Dallas as coach, so I said we faced them off against them in the first round. They had 94 points, finished third in the Central after. It's only like it's like a 12-point increase. They finished 82 points the season prior and missed the playoffs, so I guess it's a decent enough improvement for them to get that there. The Selke went to Crosby, as did the Lindsay, and the Rocket Richard went to Austin Matthews, who finished with 89 points in the regular season. So, in terms of the next kind of steps, the draft is the next thing. Oh, I guess, wait, let me just hold on a second. Yeah, draft was the next thing. So, in terms of that, I only ended up making 3 picks, just because scouting wasn't too hot this season. So I made our first round pick, and then like I think 2 third-round picks, yeah. So in our first round pick, I picked a left winger. In our third round pick, I picked another left winger because he was a gem. And then our last pick, 95th overall, I picked a right winger. Then the rest of our picks, I traded away to the Anaheim Ducks for a third and a fourth in the next round, in the next year's draft. Then came kind of the re-sign phase and off-season, where we had a lot of guys, kind of our bigger top forwards, contracts expiring. So we basically had to lock a bunch of them up to kind of medium for some of the older guys, kind of like medium, like 3 or 4 year deals, and then some of our younger guys like Robert Thomas to longer term deals. And that kind of left us strapped for cash in terms of we're basically at the cap ceiling. So that meant we had to make some cuts and whatnot, and that kind of mostly came in terms of our roster. In terms of like our kind of bottom 6 kind of took a hit in quality, I would say. Our top 2 lines should be okay relatively in terms of quality compared to last season, but our kind of bottom 2 lines kind of taken a pretty sizable hit in quality just because of our cap situation. But again, I think that'll be a temporary thing, because we should kind of, as the cap continues to go up, be able to kind of fill in the gaps with like better quality players and whatnot. And I guess we are still here because Scott Perunovich's contract was expiring, but we signed him to a new, I think it was a 2-year deal. Let's pull it up. Defenseman. So we didn't have to make any defenses to change to the defense. Everyone's kind of still here who was here last year, and that's good. So we had continuity there. The one who needed a new contract was Scott Perunovich here. We signed him to a new 2-year, $3 million cap hit for a season. So he's here. So we have at least 2 more seasons to kind of try and win the cup. But we'll kind of see what happens with that. But in terms of that, so yeah, defense didn't really make any changes there. But as I said, the forward group, we had to make some changes. That was kind of also because 2 of our kind of RFAs didn't want to sign new contracts. So I kind of sent them qualifying offers and then traded them off. And those 2 were our 4th line center, Logan Brown, who I traded to the Boston Bruins for a 4th round pick in the 2024 draft. And then kind of the bigger one, which hurt, but again, I think we kind of would have run into a problem of being able to afford what he was probably asking, which is Jordan Kyrou. So I ended up trading him to the Ottawa Senators for Colin White, who should basically replace him, at least for this season. Hopefully he has a good line fit, he could stay longer term. On the, here, I go to the contract screen so you can see that we have like one, again, that was like kind of, yeah, we basically have like no cap space. So here's Colin White here. Yes, he's on a 2-year deal, I think, 4.75 mil, which at the time of the trade basically took up like all our cap space. Because I don't really understand like how the game calculates this sometimes in terms of like you sign a bunch of players and the cap goes up or down, and like I think it's kind of like people moving from main roster to like the AHL and stuff. But yeah, so we end up like we have like a little bit like 1.07 mil, which if I kind of known that, I would have kind of maybe done a little bit more in terms of our free agency moves. But I'm not too kind of mad at what we did in terms of this is just like a short-term 1-year thing. The cap should go up, and we should be able to kind of sign some higher quality players next season. But again, Colin White to replace Kyrou on the first line of 24 third from Ottawa for Kyrou himself. So that kind of left in terms of free agency holes to fill was 3rd line center, because Barbashev didn't want to sign a new contract and walked away. And then 3rd line right winger fourth line center, again, because we replace Logan Brown, and then 13th forward. So who do we get to replace all those? We go to centers here. Kind of see I went on the cheap here to replace a lot of our players, because again, we don't have much cap space. So here, Alexi Sorella here, be our third line forward for this upcoming center for this upcoming season. See how he does on a one-year deal. Jared Anderson Dolan, kind of on the fourth line center. Again, both of these two guys have like room to grow, so they might be able to kind of push up and overall if they have good seasons with us, and they kind of have the chemistry that might be kind of bargain bin. Good stuff there. If not, doesn't really not too big of a deal if Hells up and walk and get kind of new players in next season. And then 13th forward, ex-Islander Andy Andrioff. Wait, what the heck? Who is he? Oh, okay, that's for like in the AHL. I was gonna say, how the hell did Andy Andrioff have 72 points in a regular season? But that's because he was in the AHL. Okay. But yes, Andy Andrioff, 13th forward. And then my last kind of signing was, again, I said third line right winger. Was Nathan Bastion here, so it's kind of be depending upon who kind of fits better where. Him and Achari will kind of flippy flop between third and fourth line depending on who fits better. But yeah, Nathan Bastion, another one who has room to grow, so that's kind of what I was going for here, is cheaper youngsters who kind of, they'll be like kind of good temporary signings for cheap, and then they could potentially smash it out and grow. You know, they'll kind of be bargains for us down the line, but if not, not a huge deal to move them on either. Yes, that's it in terms of free agency moves. So in terms of next season, because of kind of our losses and not necessarily knowing how Colin White's going to fit with the rest of the team, I think we should still, just because like our top six is still pretty solid, because like 5 of our top 6 forwards are still here in terms of Shen, Thomas, Buchnevich, O'Reilly, and Tarasenko are all still here. So they should we should be kind of okay in terms of top end scoring. And then our defense is all still, defensive goaltending is all the same, so defensively we should be just as solid as we were. So we might like regress a little and not be like over 100 points, but I do expect us to think to hopefully make the playoffs this next season, and kind of potentially hopefully go on another run. But if not, I'll kind of understand, because we kind of had a drop off in our bottom 6 in terms of quality. But again, the caps going up should help us recover that for 2 seasons from now. But yeah, I think that's kind of hit. We've hit all the notes in terms of our regular season, playoffs, free agency moves and whatnot. So that's kind of it for this 22-23 season recap. So the next episode will be the recap of the 23-24 season, where kind of hopefully we do kind of make a miracle run and win the cup. But we'll all kind of find out then. So thank you for watching this episode, and I hope you check out next episode as well. Thank you.